All right, and we're live. Welcome, anglers, to the very first ever California fishing news. This is going to be a show I do hopefully every week, at least during the hot fishing season when fish are biting. And I'm just going to talk about fishing all over the state, focus on the Southern California offshore and sport boat scene, but also touch on everything else that's been happening. So let's jump right in. First off, it's no secret the yellowfin and bluefin have been biting pretty good the past month or so, kind of since the middle of August. They really started getting on the program and biting, and it's been really good fishing, but not every day. Like anything, some days are off days, and there's been a batch of fish that's been really close to home. The full day boats have been getting them, and it's good and bad. When the fish are that close to San Diego, they get a ton of boat pressure, they get a ton of private boats, skiffs. There's hundreds of boats out there on Saturdays, and the fish get beat up, get a lot of pressure on them, and as a result, they don't bite super well. The past few days, the local batch of fish has not been biting great. The San Diego is kind of the flagship full-day boat everyone looks to, and they've had strung together a series of tough days catching single-digit or just low two-digit fish counts. The captain's reporting, though, seeing huge amounts of fish. You have to sink the boat multiple times. The fish are there, they're just not eating for some reason. Some people say it's because of the full moon, the fish can eat at night. It's really hard to say. The fish are eating the chum. The ones that are caught will have 15 pieces of chum in their stomach, but for some reason, even with tiny number 4 hooks, tiny size 2 hooks, 15-pound fluorocarbon even, it's been really tough to get bites up there. Not to say that none of them are biting. The Grande had a couple decent days catching 50 or 60 yellowfin. So there are some fish to be caught up there. It's just been a lot tougher and not as good as it has been. Luckily, the captain's found another group of fish. It's a bit farther south, down off of Ensenada. And it looks like from the marine traffic, looks like it's moving up north a little bit today as well. If you've never used it, you got to check out marine traffic. It shows the AIS for boats that have it turned on. AIS is like a global positioning system beacon that all boats turn on. And I mean, some of the fishing boats don't like it because everyone can pretty much get on and see where they're at. But it's really an awesome invention for safety. I've worked on a boat, and if you look on the radar, if other ships had their AIS on, you can see exactly where they are, exactly see their heading. You can see their name, and you know how to call out to them on the radio. And really, for high traffic areas, it's pretty much a must-have. I know some boats will turn it off, but really, it's like there's not many secrets these days with where people are catching fish. It's 2019, the internet, information's everywhere. I'm not trying to blow up spots with this show. I'm really just trying to promote the industry, but if you're turning it off, you're really just adding a little unnecessary safety risk. You shouldn't. So anyways, here's marine traffic. You can see we got, that's a cruise ship. The Excalibur's down here off of, whatever. Yesterday they were down here directly off Ensenada. Looks like today they're a little farther north. We got the Vagabond down here, Old Glory, New Loan, the Tribute, El Capitan. See, the majority boats are in this little window here, with some more on their way down. American Angler, long-range boat heading down. The Legends on their way down. I'm also recording this at about 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday the 18th. So a lot of the boats might just be, they're either getting there or they're still on their way down, depending. I saw the 095 before I lost it. There's the 095. That was 3 hours ago, so 1 in the morning. By now, I'm sure they're down here and looking around. The Excel's over here, heading up the line. Looks like they're heading up towards this backside of San Clemente. That's where the big bluefin have been biting. But that's the next story. For now, it's down here. They're calling it a new batch of fish. The yellowfin up north has been this 15 to 25 pound stuff. The stuff down here, I guess there's some yellowfin down to 10 pounds. Still some better yellowfin mixed in as well, and also been some skipjack mixed in. Some boats have been getting full limits of skipjack, which, I mean, they're fun to pull on, but can be annoying. Sometimes it's hard to get a bait past them to get to the other tuna. From the sound of it, there's some of the better bluefin mixed in here as well. The bluefin that was mixed in up here with the full day fleet stuff has been majority 40 to 50 pounds, some smaller and some up to 100. Sounds like some of that bluefin's mixed in here as well. So that'll be interesting to see how the boats do on that. Not every boat's getting them, but I know the Aztec called in with 2-day limits for 21 guys, 210. My buddies are all on the Pride on a 2-day charter. They had full 2-day limits of yellowfin. Only 10 guys, 100 yellowfin, but still pretty rad fishing going on for a lot of the boats. But some boats, I think the Tribute only had like 25 fish yesterday. So like at all this offshore fishing, you got to get on a school that wants to bite. Some boats do great, some boats don't. It's not like, I mean, some boats are sure the captains are slightly better than others or way better than others, but some of it is just luck of the draw, finding the right school at the right time, getting on it early, and seeing if they want to bite. Moving on. Oh, last thing I'll say about this is, if it's anything like the past couple years, this yellowfin will probably bite pretty well into October. You probably got a lot of time to get on this stuff still. Last year, the fishing's just got even better in October. More Dorado moved in on kelps, more stuff like that. There have not been a ton of Dorado caught this year. There's a handful, a couple caught a day. But hopefully we see more of those move up, because who doesn't love catching some Dorado? All right, next story. We're going to talk about the big bluefin closer to home. Not really closer, I guess, just in U.S. waters. The 150 to 300 plus pound bluefin has been biting super, super well the last few weeks, or at least the last week for sure. Some private commercial guys, my buddy was on a trip. They caught 7 cows, all over 200 pounds, in 3 hours on the flying fish on the kite. It's almost all exclusively these flying fish, kite fish. Some are reporting they'll eat the fly line sardine a little bit, but usually if they're eating the fly line sardine, they're only eating on 30, 40, maybe 50 pound. And when you're talking about 150 to 300 pound fish, you're just going to get chewed off a vast, vast majority of the time. Hopefully, like the past couple years, this fall, they'll go with the program and eat some 80 pound line, 100 pound line like they have the past couple years. We'll have to see if it plays out that way. But for the smaller boats or for smaller charter groups, it's been insane fishing. Ali from Bloody Decks went out there. I think he got the full limit for in a day. There was a day out there when everybody was getting bit. Everybody had a fish on board. And the awesome thing about the fish, or the flying fish, kite fishing, is you can fish 400 pound test leader. If you do it right and you get a good hook set, your landing ratio should be really, really, really good. From what I can tell, that stuff's down south off the island around here. Anytime you're fishing around San Clemente, the Navy's got operations going. The Thunderbird yesterday, or the day before, had 6. They went 6 for 9. He called in. We'll bring up some of their picks. 6 for 9 with 1 over 300. Really good. They had 2 going at once. It sounds like you've been putting out a flying fish, getting bit, and while some anglers fighting that one, they put up another flying fish on a kite. And they're having 2, 3 going at a time, even doubles and triples of cows on kite here. Pretty insane stuff. Unfortunately for the sport boats, it's not like you can't really put 25 guys 30 guys on a boat and not give everyone a chance. Last year, the Pacific Dawn did get 17 in a day and a half, all over 200 for the 17 anglers. That's insanely epic. But that's kind of the high count I've ever heard of in one day on the kite, 17. So it's not the great sport boat fishing when you have to use the kite, because I mean, you want to fly line baits. You want to give everyone a chance to get bit on their own, not just having the crew hook them on the kite, pass them off. But it's still pretty insane fishing. Awesome for smaller boats if you got the year to go out there. Awesome for what the fall could hold. Good to know they're back at Clemente. I mean, they'll probably get with the program at some point, eat flatfalls in the dark like they did last year, and hopefully they decide to go a little stupid and eat the 200 or the 100-pound leader at some point as well. So if you want to target them, your best bet is either private boat, or get with one of the really good charters. There's Bite Sport Fishing with Brandon Hayward and Wes that run those trips. There's Into the Depth Sport Fishing. I'm sure there's more. Those are just the 2 biggest on social media. But they've been whacking them, and they got open party trips available still. So look into them. Bite goes out of H&M. Into the Depths, I'm not sure. Go to their Instagram, reach out. I know they have open party trips. They had one opening. It's probably sold out now. They're later this month, but check those out if you want to target those big bluefin. Next, we're going to talk about something a little surprising. If you would have told me there'd be something more exciting than 300-pound bluefin willing to crash your kite baits every day, I wouldn't have believed you. But this last weekend, the Balboa Angling Club had their billfish tournament. And the surprise was not the marlin, was the swordfish. So deep dropping for swordfish has been something that's been done a long time in other areas. Florida, they deep drop for them, it's kind of common. And in the past few years, people have been experimenting with off South Carolina, or off of the Southern California coast. Last year, a guy posted a report on Bloody Decks, first one, and it was the first one at least commonly known and publicly reported that they got deep dropping. So deep dropping involves kind of some special gear. You put your bait down at like 900 to 1,000 or 1,300 feet at night, or during the day too, and you wait. The trick is finding spots and having the right gear. But I think the Kia Kai boat went 4 for 7 this weekend on swordfish. This was on the boat, the Swagger. I mean, it's awesome fishing. Swordfish apparently pull like nothing else. They're like the tractors of the ocean, and it's pretty awesome to see. Hopefully this means the swordfish populations are doing good, and there's a chance to do something else besides just go tuna fishing offshore if that's not biting. So pretty exciting stuff. You can go to the Balboa Angling Club Facebook page to get some more photos of different ones. It's not like it's super wide open, but if you know what you're doing, it sounds like you can have a chance at a local swordfish. I mean, they're so rare, they call them Elvis. Everybody wants to catch one. It's also been apparently an okay year for swordfish. I don't have that much to compare it to. I don't know about the historic swordfish catches, but I know of a couple that were baited on the surface. The Gale Force party boat got one on their way to Catalina one day. They baited it and got it in real quick on the boat. There's a thread about that in the Inshore and Islands Southern California Fishing Reports thread on Bloody Decks. Go to their forums, check that out if you want to hear more about that. I did forget to mention on the Thunderbird trip, the second day the Navy called them in, and they got 42 yellowtail at the island at SCI. So sounds like the yellowtail are biting. There's some bonito at the island. So, I mean, it bodes well for the fall. If this tuna stuff dries up, or for some of those like LA boats that it's just a lot easier for them to head to SCI to fish than to go way south to fish. And I mean, usually the SCI yellows are good grade. They're a lot of fun. They're in tight on structure. You fish them on the anchor a lot. It just could be awesome fishing for fall. Oh. Last thing we'll do before moving on from the Southern California offshore stuff is talk about the weather. This is from the National Data Buoy Center, NOAA. This is the kind of go-to weather report for offshore southern San Diego, at least. There's 2 reports here. There's this one that is coastal waters from San Mateo Point to the Mexican border and out to 30 nautical miles. So this is kind of the inshore coast to 30 miles forecast. And there's also this same area, San Mateo Point to the Mexican border, but 30 to 60 miles out, including San Clemente Island. So this is the more offshore. The weather can vary drastically. Sometimes the tuna are 10 miles offshore, and those tuna grounds are nice, but if you go past San Clemente Island, it can be nasty out there. I forgot to load up one more thing. We'll go to Windy. Windy's another great site for forecasting wind. Oh, I think I'm in Europe. Let's go to San Clemente Island. Boom. So as you can see, the way the coast runs here, there's kind of this natural blockage, which makes this inshore bite can be a lot nicer weather than out here past the island, where you get a lot heavier winds. I don't see a key, but generally blue is very little, no wind. Green can be 10, 15 knots. And if it gets any higher than that, oh, here we go. I think this is it. Well, I should have been more prepared, guys. It's the first one. We'll get better with time. Either way, check out Windy. You can kind of see how the effects here change. It's blowing this direction out here, and then switches back and swings up in and kind of cuts there. So just, if you're going out to fish here, out here is like Tanner and Cortez Bank. It can be a lot nastier out there than it is right here. So sometimes you're standing up on the coast, you see it looks like a beautiful day out there, no whitecaps. That does not mean it's the same out here at all. So pay attention to that. Back to the actual weather report for the week. Doesn't look like any big swell on the inshore stuff. 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet. With a swell, you want to watch size as well as period. If it's under 8-second period, it can be real nasty and bumpy, as well as different directions. So like for tonight, it says mixed swell west 2 to 3 feet at 7 seconds and south 3 feet at 12 seconds. So, I mean, that's not great. It's not super flat, but it's totally fishable, especially with wind to 10 knots and becoming variable less than 10 knots. Pretty much almost all summer, you're going to have 10-knot winds, or it's going to report 10-knot winds in the afternoon at least, up to 15. 10 to 15-knot winds are okay, a little windy, fishable. When you start talking about 20, 25, 30-knot winds, it can get real nasty out there, especially for small boats. The big boats can handle it, but bring your seasickness medicine. Otherwise, the inshore stuff looks like it's totally fine and fishable for the while. A little more swell out here farther, 3 to 5 feet at 7 seconds. That's not super fun. And 2 to 3 feet at 10 seconds. You know, if you got a boat capable of running 30 to 60 miles offshore, you already know how to look at this. This is kind of for, you know, other recreational people that are just curious, or people like me who just can't get enough of the offshore fishing scene and they're just wondering what it's like out there. But it's a great site to check out. It's NOAA. If you Google San Diego offshore weather report, 0 to 30 miles, you can find this. Pretty awesome site. It's always worth checking out before you go. But like any weather forecasting report, it's not always right. Nothing's ever always right. Take it with a grain of salt. Always be safe. Err on the side of caution. You know, we're just fishing. It's never worth putting yourself in any sort of risk. Boom. Moving on. Let's talk about the moon phase. We had a full moon on Friday the 13th to the 14th. Really full, big harvest moon. Some people saying that's why the elephant aren't biting, but the bluefin were still biting and other fish were still biting. So I don't, you know, everyone's got their opinion on the moon phase. It's hard to really know what. If freshwater fishing, it can be a little more consistent because you only have the moon phase. In the ocean, there's the moon phase, and there's weather, and there's current, and there's temperature, and there's so many other things that, I mean, I do look at it, and I like fishing around the new moon. But, you know, we're fishermen, we have our superstitions, we have our anecdotes. It's hard to run like a scientific test. There's been some people on Bloody Decks that have tried to track it. It's really hard. Basically, if you can go fishing, go fishing. Don't worry about the moon phase too much, but people do care about it, so I'm going to show it in these reports, at least talk about it. So we were full there. Today's the 18th. It's on the way down. We got a new moon on the 28th of the month, and then moving into October. I have heard a guide say he would plan all of his fishing trips for 4 or 5 days before the full and the new moon. Some people like fishing the full. Some people like fishing the new moon. Take it with a grain of salt, but we can at least show the moon phase here. Another site you're probably familiar with. If not, you got to check it out. It's TempBreak. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom, but currently struggling. Anyways, go to tempbreak.com. You can do this on your own, but it's an awesome site. It's got both sea surface temperature and chlorographs. This is the sea surface temperature 8-day composite. Well, you can move it down to the 3-day composite, a little more accurate, a little more real-time information. You can see these fish are down up here in this 72-degree water. The local coastal waters up to even 76 degrees up in here. Pretty awesome for swimming. For fishing, you know. The bluefin generally like a little bit cooler water, but they've been biting in 72, 73 degree stuff. It'd be great if, you know, we ever saw wahoo up this way again, but we'll see. Maybe 2015 was a fluke. But it's a great site, and then you can also look at the chloro charts here. Blue is obviously really clean water, no chloro. Green shows chloro. This is a 3-day. You can look at the 1-day. They can't get these readings every day depending on cloud cover, so this won't always work. Or you won't always get readings here. A lot of times you'll have a lot of these areas white and blocked out. But it looks like some nice clean water. It could be the fish in here are in this clean water pocket. That would not surprise me. That kind of looks like it lines up at the marine traffic area. So I bet they are. Generally, they think those pelagic fish like the clean water pockets or the edges. The chlorophyll is like the base of the food chain, so that attracts the little tiny fish. The little tiny fish attract the minnows and the bait fish, and those obviously attract the bigger fish. So a lot of times they'll say you want to watch the color breaks and look along those. Especially if you find like a kelp on a color break, it's very likely it's holding. But again, they've been fish biting in green water this summer. There's been bluefin in the dark green water the past couple of years. They might prefer the clean blue water. It's nicer, it's prettier, but it's not like it's extreme or just because the water's green they can't hold fish. There's fish in all of it. But looking at the chloro, you can see out at Big Bloom out here towards the Mushroom and 60 Mile Bank. The Excel on its way up is around here, so it's going to check out all this area on the way up. All of the long range boats generally report on Facebook, so you can see how they did. Just go to their Facebook, Excel, Red Rooster 3, Royal Polaris, all of them, check that out. And you can see it's really clean water out here. So there's a decent chance, if I had my yacht, I don't, I'm just going to go fish for the big bluefin. You'll head out, you look obviously all the way. If you don't see him, go check out this color break out here. It looks like a real clean color break, and I bet the bluefin are sitting out here on it. But that's it for the Southern California news this week. We'll get back with more next week. But moving on to the rest of the state. The salmon fishing out of San Francisco Bay has been all right this year. This is just the first one I pulled up, the Blue Runner. No affiliation with or anything. I just did a quick Google search and got the first fish count I found just to show something. The numbers have not been great. They're looking at, anywhere between one fish and angler to a half a fish and angler. Some days a little bit better. A couple days there, and the 25th, they got full limits. It's 2 a person. The next day, or 5-6 days later, they only got 6 fish for 18 anglers. So it's not wide open or anything, but apparently they've been good size. Some 15, 20, even 25 pound Chinook king salmon. Obviously real good eating. So if you're up that way, it's not a bad time of year to check that out. And look, there's options up there. There's open parties. They're smaller. They're 6-packs. It's just like Southern California. There's options to fish out of SF and around the areas north and south of San Francisco as well. So if you're interested or that's your area, check it out. It'd be great. I know a lot of us in Southern California will have freezers full of yellowfin and bluefin in the past few years, and rockfish. But if you can mix in some salmon in there and have that, it's freaking delicious. I prefer eating salmon over tuna, even though I do love tuna. And it's not just in the ocean. On Facebook, I follow the NorCal Fish Reports page, and they've been posting a bunch of decent kings, Chinook being caught in the Sacramento River. According to some of the reports, they say the bulk of the fish are still yet to move in. I don't follow this too closely or anything. I just see it pop up in my news feed. But looks like decent and nice size. I mean, those are some fat salmon. You can see some of them, a little bit of the pink here, starting to turn, starting to breed. Kind of mixed feelings. Our salmon populations are down, and I know, we want to have salmon forever. We don't want to overfish it, but it's not the recreational ice doing damage. Your limit's 2 fish. Only take, this applies obviously to tuna too, only take what you're really going to use, what you need, what you're going to eat. I've had to throw out fish before, and it feels terrible when you have to throw out, 5-10 pounds of fish. You just realize you shouldn't have killed that fish. Just because your limit is 2 bluefin and 5 yellowfin doesn't mean you have to take them. Find other families, give away whole fish too. Just a little thing. Think about the fishery. I mean, I take my limits too when I can. I get it professionally processed, put it in the freezer, my family eats it, I give it away. But more and more I've been thinking lately about how you really don't want to waste this stuff. So fish responsibly, but good salmon fishing up in the Sacramento Island as well, or Sacramento River as well. Our last story of the day, I'm going to talk about the trout fishing in the Eastern Sierras. My dad actually just left on his annual trout pilgrimage up to the Eastern Sierras. He goes up to the Twin Lakes out of Bridgeport. But it looks like it's been really good. I mainly follow this guy. His name's Tom Lippin. He's a guide. He fishes a lot on Crowley and other lakes in that area. Rippin_lips_fly fishing on Instagram. Check him out. You can book him. But he's been having some really good days. It's just a great time. I mean, the Eastern Sierras are absolutely gorgeous. This time of year, the tourists are gone. The weather cools off a bit. The trout start biting. It's, one of my favorite places on the planet. If you've ever experienced it, you know as well how unreal it is up there. You can call it God's country or, whatever people want to call it. It is just unreal beautiful up there. But some nice cutthroats. This guy, a little kid, he caught 6 fish over 20 inches and a handful of smaller ones, nice rainbows, some browns mixed in. So it looks like the fishing's really good up there. So if you have the time, if you can at all, get up there, go camping, enjoy it. It's truly it's one of the best places on the planet, if you ask me. And the fishing is good this year. Show a little video of the guy, kid reeling some in. Oh, he's not hooked up here, but... Oh. Anyways, Rippin' Lips, Tom Lippin, Rippin' Lips Fly Fishing. I don't have any affiliation really with him. I've just messaged him a couple times because I love trout fishing up there. He seems like a good guy. He'll take you out. He's sponsored by Electric Fishing, so you'll see Electric Fishing post some of his stuff on Instagram sometimes as well. Well, that is about it for the very first ever California fishing news. I'd love to hear what you think, what I should add, any suggestions, comments, that'd be great. Hopefully I can keep up on this, do it every week, at least during the season. And Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening in. I'm just trying to make it like a Let's Talk hookup, but more succinct. You know, we don't need to listen to 4 hours filled with ads. It's tedious and you don't need to. Um, so, and if you're wondering where I get all this information, the best places to look, obviously, 976 Tuna has the reports from all the SoCal boats. And if you're not in the Bloody Deck forums, you're missing out on a ton of good reports. The Bloody Deck forums can be ridiculous drama. There's a lot of old guys on there that, get drunk and like to type on their keyboard and don't get out to fish enough and haven't got laid in too long. Excuse me. But, ignore them. Look for there is good info despite all the other bullshit on there. So check out Bloody Deck's forums if you want to learn more. There's info on how to rig those flying fish. Ali has some awesome posts on that. If you search, look for deep dropping sword, there's a little bit of info on that. There's information on there if you can dig for it and weed through all of the crap. Well, that's it for me this week, guys. Thank you. If you got anything, suggestions, comments, good to say, please let me know in the comments. And if you have anything bad to say, shut up and go fishing. Peace.